Facebook, YouTube, hold on, YouTube is struggling. There we go. That says we're live.
All right. Welcome everyone to the 034 Motorsport live chats. What are we?
109
109-ish.
ish.
We're here as always to answer all your burning questions about all things 034, products, services, history, anything you want to know. And of course, we're always here to answer general automotive questions as well. Dating advice, cooking recipes, anything else you want to discuss, we're game to. We had our SummerFest event this Saturday. It was awesome.
Tons of people.
Yeah, it was a good turnout. We served 80 pounds of tri-tip and 300 chicken legs and lots of drinks and whatnot. And it was I actually didn't get out much for the event.
You were pretty buried all the cooking done.
Doing all the cooking, but it was really nice. A lot of 034 presents, and it looked like people were having a good time. So if you made it out, thank you. It's really fun. And
the barbecue lines were too long. Yeah. Oh,
yeah.
Happens.
It was very long, but actually, it
seemed like it moved pretty quick.
I think it was less than an hour. The line lasted less than an hour. Yeah. The whole thing was. We fed everyone in like an hour. So, and even people were asking how much the tri-tip was. So, of course, it's free. So go ahead and put your questions into the browser of your choice, and we will start answering questions.
Should go bring mine up.
Aaron and Elle jumped in last week with the.
Yeah. Yesterday.
Really?
Yeah.
He's so helpful with his comments. Is he an engineer?
I think he's a marketing engineer.
I think he's a keyboard marketing guy.
Yeah.
He's nothing engineer. Well, anyways, if you're here, Aaron, welcome. Thank you for trolling our posts and making it look like you're just some normal guy who knows things. It's always good when your competitor's marketing guy drops in and pretends like he's just a normal customer. Do we have any questions coming in?
Yeah.
I'm not seeing anything on the. And these are all last week's questions, right?
They're left. Please.
Yeah. Let's clear out the leftover ones and just hit the new ones. All right. What else? Some of these oil questions, we talked about those last week. Yeah.
I don't understand why all the oil talk.
Well, people want to know, but all right. Well, adding a high pressure fuel pump for B9 create any issue without? Didn't we? That's last week.
Yeah, we answered that one too.
These questions are
all messed up.
I don't even know what to talk about right now. These are new questions.
Hold on, guys. All right, the RS3 question is this one here. That one just came in on. Yep, that one just came in on YouTube.
RS3 8V. There's a distinct exhaust tone change with part throttle around 50% at around 3,200 RPM. Can't think of anything mechanically changing in the engine. Is this something the ECU changes tuning-wise?
What you're most likely hearing is the exhaust flaps kicking back. That's basically right when those kick over.
Which would change the tone of the exhaust.
It'll change the tone. It'll definitely change the exhaust tone dramatically. And it is very digital. So it's just when it hits that.
Yeah.
So that's got. I'm going to guess that's what you're hearing. There's some other stuff in there, but most everything else that's kind of flipping around is going to be at real light load, low RPM. So like your intake, there's some flaps in the intake runners. But that and cam lift stuff on some motors, but no. In this case, I'm going to say it's very likely your exhaust valves.
After installing your heat exchanger, is there any benefit to manually bleeding the coolant versus using a coolant bleeder, or is it just preference?
It just needs to be bled.
Yeah.
However you're most able to get the air out of the system and bleed it as effectively as possible. That's all that matters. So some people swear by vacuum systems. Some people like to run it, let it pump through. Some people,
Air is not a very good conductor of heat.
Nope.
Despite all the people experiencing heat waves right now across the U.S. So yeah, you just want to make sure you only have. Can we just delete any comments from Aaron on any of our stuff? He's just a troll.
It's on someone else's.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If we can delete it, delete it. It's just ridiculous. Is this oil question a new one, or is that from last? It is. All right, we talked about this last week in more detail. I'll just keep it simple. If you want to go back and look at last week's episode, feel free. But yeah, no, just run factory spec oil. That's all you need to do.
Yeah, on all of our kits, all of our tunes, anything. If there's a required, vehicle or hardware change, like oil or like anything else, we'll specify that.
Yeah.
Outside of that, we would always strongly recommend factory spec.
Yeah. Will you guys have support for tuning on macOS anytime soon? I feel like we just talked about that.
Yeah, maybe. I don't have a good ETA.
Something we'd like to do, but
Yep.
it's just, do we release tunes or do we spend time? And you can buy a perfectly good laptop for like $200. Yeah. And I know I wouldn't want to take my MacBook Pro into a car, but some people do. Any 810 updates or Pure 750 updates? Nothing to report or release right now, but those are being worked on. The 810 will be the next Stage 3 tune that we release. So, yeah. Will the B9 S5 Stage 2 Plus map with high pressure fuel pump map be available for 93 RON or only E85?
We're going to do it for all of the octanes we currently support. So
Yeah.
yeah, you'll see 91, 93, E85. No, we're not going to limit it to just the E85 map.
Yeah.
There's not going to be any power differences on the 91 and 93 maps, just because those aren't pump limited. But it'll be there if you need to switch back and forth.
Yeah. Will B9 Stage 2 Plus come with updates for the TCU as well?
There will not be any updates to the TCU.
Right.
There's no need on the 2 Plus to change the shift points as well.
That's right. Yeah, it's just related to increasing the fuel length.
Yeah, it's a moderate bump in the mid range. That's it.
Yeah. Any updates on the 034 low pressure fuel pump for the 3.0T B8.5 platform? Yeah, we'll be releasing the universal kit soon, and then it'll just be up to the user or installer to get make the fuel lines.
Yeah, because it's going to need a return line back to the tank, which isn't there already, and electrical provisions. So yeah, it's going to depend. It's going to be up to you how you want to mount it, where you want to mount it.
Yeah. Eventually, we would like to release a specific kit that will be bolt-in, but
Yep.
that's going to take longer to do, so we could get the universal kit to market much sooner. And it comes with a fuel pump controller. I mean, it's all the stuff you need for an Audi. It's not like going and buying a generic surge tank, off the market. It is going to be specific to Audis, Volkswagens. Can your 3.0 T tune be loaded onto a 4M Q7 3.0 T?
I'm sorry, which one was that?
Not that I'm aware of. No. The top question.
We don't currently have any Q7 3-liter files set up. No.
We'd like to, because I have a Q7.
Right.
We're going to be doing that. Is mine a 4? Oh, mine's a 4M, right? Yeah.
So the facelift
There's
is
two. Yeah, there's the turbo and the supercharged version.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
currently, we don't have anything released for either.
We'd have to do the turbo version too.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Will we be emailed if there's a file software update for tunes?
It depends on the update. If it's a big change or a sweeping change that we want to get everybody pushed up to, then yes. If it's just a small iterative thing that's only affects a couple of box codes here and there, then generally not. So yeah, if it's something big, you'll get an email about it.
Usually we do.
Yep.
We may also post about it online,
Yep.
Facebook, Instagram, and certainly we'll talk about it here too. But no, we have been emailing pretty reliably for a while. Flex fuel for Mk7 GTI.
We are working on it.
Yeah.
Got it running on a couple of cars here right now.
Yep. That's right. Do you recommend any of your pulleys for the 3.2 supercharge as preventative measure to the failing factory pulley? Well, yeah, it's definitely a side benefit. We don't sell them for that.
Yeah.
Someone asked recently if we would just do a stock-sized aluminum pulley. You know,
I don't know if there's any
it just
enough demand for that. I mean, it's
it just seems you could just do stage.
just do the 179 lower
Yeah.
and leave the stock upper. You're good to go.
Just because tuning is so related to the crank pulley situation, we don't. The problem gets solved when you if you do stage 1, you can solve it with that. So instead of doing the smaller supercharger pulley, you do the 179 crank pulley, and then you're also not going to have any crank pulley failure issues ever again. Any updates on the cTUA-T platform?
That is I think the early A6 3-liter.
I don't even know what that is.
I'm not sure what exact question they're asking about, though.
Update as far as do we have a tune for it?
We do for a chunk of those. I'd have to check and see. I don't remember off the top of my head that engine code, if it's Simos 8.2 or if it's the A4, A5 generation. So I'd have to dig into that and look back.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have all the engine codes stuck in my head currently.
Are you selling TTE720 for RS5 without tuning? When will tuning be available? We do have the turbos for sale. They are in stock. So if you'd like to buy a pair, they would ship right away. Tuning is coming. We don't have a date, but not in the not too far off future. We will have full support for TTs. If I go stage 2 single pulley, will my cats fail? Oh, your cats will fail on a stock everything.
Yeah.
They all fail.
Yeah. If we're talking like 3-liter supercharged motors, I mean, stock, we have to replace a lot of them, so it's...
Yeah, specifically 3.0T. This isn't really nearly as much of a problem
on any of the other platforms. It's just that 3-liter supercharged setup with the cats they spent.
Yeah. So, is it possible that tuning will accelerate it? Yes.
Yeah, I mean, you've
possible.
got more exhaust gas, higher EGTs. It all affects it.
More stuff's happening. But there's no direct correlation to being tuned and having your cats fail faster. They fail pretty randomly. I think bad tuning would certainly accelerate it. Sure. Our tuning is good, so it doesn't necessarily make the cats wear more, other than the fact that everything's working harder.
Yep.
Are your tunes on sale? Yes, they are. We are currently having our SummerFest tuning sale, so those are available now till
August 18th.
Till August 18th. So most tunes are 10% off.
All dynamic.
All dynamic plus tunes are 10% off. Our tuning cables are not on sale, so it's a software only sale. So yeah, great time to jump in and grab any of our tunes if you'd like. And you got a little bit of time, but not like we're going to run out of stock on tuning, but we do run out of stock on cables here and there. But they're in stock right now.
Cables are in stock currently. Yes.
Do you guys still make stuff for the B5? Yes.
Yep.
We probably make more stuff than anybody.
Yeah. We still have quite a few inactive production parts.
We probably won't be releasing any more B5 products, if any. There may be
some carryover stuff like littler things, drain plugs, caps, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Oh, of course. Yeah. More universal type stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you'd like, go to our website and put in your B5 make and model in our product catalog or whatever, and you'll see all the B5 parts that are available for your car. There's a lot. You can pretty much build a whole car out of it, our catalog. Got my vehicle flash with 034 TCU software at the SummerFest. Feels amazing, super smooth, and responsive. Very good. Glad to hear.
Yeah.
Tuning B9 S4 now. Do I have to shut down after ECU tune and then do TCU tune, or can I just do one after the other?
The flashing software will prompt you to key cycle after each controller is flashed.
Mm-hmm.
So, yep. We want you to power cycle or key cycle it after each successful controller module.
And that, I mean, that should all be in the manual, isn't it?
Well, it's in the software. The software will tell you.
It tells you.
Like, turn it off, wait for 10 seconds, turn it back on.
Will your MQB front sway bar work with stock end links? I will be getting your adjustable one soon. Yes. All of our sway bars work with factory form factor end links. The major issue is that a lot of the factory end links will fail with bigger, stiffer sway bars.
Yeah.
I don't believe the front ones in that application do, so they hold up pretty well. The rear ones do break. For example, like B6, B7 rear end links will snap right in half with our bigger.
They're just like two little, tiny little tack welds, basically. Holding the cups on the end of those.
Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, getting our end links will ensure that you'll never have a failure, and then the adjustability is really nice too to take out any Will there be more ways to get power out of S4 B8s? Yes. We are not done.
We are working on things as we talk and type.
Yes. Yep. So stay tuned. There's more coming, and this year we will release products that increase the power for B8s. Racingline are about to release an oil catch can system for the B9 S4. Is there a benefit to using a system like this on a B8?
A B8?
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're getting oil in your intake, I know B8s have issues with the PCV system.
Yeah, it's kind of a nightmare getting into though, but
yeah,
I don't know what they're thinking as far as implementing it, but you got to kind of intercept all of that between the manifold and the PCV.
Well, I don't think they are doing B8.
No. This the question.
This person.
Yeah,
Okay.
It's not.
Yeah,
it's a not a simple thing to get.
I think generally it's not a big burning issue on the B8 specifically.
No, as long as you, keep the PCV system up to date and refresh. It's kind of a maintenance item at this point.
Mm-hmm.
And then beyond that, we haven't seen a lot of issues with them.
Yeah. Let's see. My 2015 S3 is APR Stage 1. Can I flash 034 Stage 2 without issue?
You can. We would recommend you flash back to stock if you're coming from any other software, just to make sure we're at a known starting point with the ECU. So you can flash back to stock with our software. So
yeah,
just run the stock file, flash the stock file first, then flash whatever performance file you want.
We're getting lots of APR questions today. Someone says, I absolutely hate my Stage 3 APR ECU TCU for my 2015 A3 IS38. Please eventually create a tune for my platform. Already a happy 034 customer on my B8 S5 S4. Love the week of Q&As. Awesome. Well, thank you. Glad you enjoy them.
We will be doing an IS38 file for those.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we can make you love your tuning once again. So sorry about that.
Yeah.
With the B8.5 3.0T platform, I've seen where the high pressure fuel pump is maxed out at 99.6% on 93 octane fuel files. Would you suggest upgrading the high pressure fuel pump with a 93 octane dual pulley file? I haven't personally did.
So just because a pump is maxed out on that application doesn't necessarily mean that there's an issue. So on those stock pump files, we'll request quite a bit of pressure, more than generally it's going to max out or may exceed some of the what some of the pumps can deliver in some of these cars. That doesn't mean it's necessarily a problem as long as you're getting your fuel delivery requirement that we need for the tune. A high pressure fuel pump upgrade will give you more, but it doesn't mean there's a problem there necessarily. We can take a look at, if you haven't logged, we can get you set up with logging and make sure yours is in good shape. Some will run basically at the limit. Other cars, depending on their low pressure fuel pump health, high pressure pump health will be under that limit. But we can get you some logs and see where you're at. That's we don't like guessing.
Yeah. Another comment, someone says, I got my vehicle flashed with the 034 TC software at SummerFest. Feels amazing, super smooth and responsive. Awesome. Glad you think so. Thanks for coming. TTRS DAZA forums are saying that the cat overheat protection is altered on some stock cat tunes. The 034 keep all protections in place on all the off-the-shelf tunes.
I mean, that's going to depend on what you call cat overheat protection. So on the DAZA tuning in particular, there's limited methods for some of the fueling strategies to be able to actually target lambda. So what I think everyone that I know of does is you use it's called the overheat the component protection fueling tables. For some of your base fueling targeting as well. So yeah, I mean, it does. They all technically are manipulating some of the overheat protection stuff, but it's that's just how that calibration has to happen in those files. So I'm not sure exactly what they're mentioning or referencing, but yeah, there's changes that will affect some of that, but it's not necessarily bad. Those changes will actually the effect on those changes is it'll keep your EGTs lower for longer before more interventions need to take place.
Yeah. I don't recall any of our customers ever having an issue on this.
No, so I'm wondering what they're. If you can provide more specifics, if you have any, we can better answer those questions.
On an S4 B8 with Stage 2 Plus, Test Pipe Super Duper, will the downstream O2 sensors affect? Oh my God.
Oh, big one. I don't know if you guys can hear that. This thing
Somebody just dropped an inches block right
there. There's a big clunk of metal behind us.
Let's see. What was I saying?
I have no idea.
Will the downstream O2 sensors affect the fuel trim values?
So this is a B8 S4 Stage 2 Plus. They're not used for active fuel trimming. What they are used is for testing and correlation confirmation. So if the sensors are failing entirely, if there's a huge leak, if they're swapped into the incorrect banks, you will have issues with your trims because it's going to either enter a fault state and stop relying on a sensor, or your trims won't be working at all. So yes, they can certainly affect trims.
B9 S4, how much more power do you think the engine can handle without going into the motor with the 810? I don't think, I think one thing that people overlook or don't always take into consideration is that as you start going with bigger and bigger turbos, the torque number, peak torque number, naturally starts to shrink because a bigger turbo will almost always make its peak power higher in the power band. And so just mathematically speaking, the way torque and horsepower work is that if you put a bigger turbo on and that bigger turbo makes peak power 300 RPM higher, then the torque is going to naturally lower. So that means there will be less stress on the motor.
Yeah, and torque is really the number you need to pay attention to. So that's when you start running into component limits and their ability to hold power, power that they can hold, it's the amount of torque they can make, or they can push.
Yeah. So we haven't released the 810 tune yet, and so we don't have any specific recommendations on how the motor needs to be to hold the power. I'm gonna just make a general statement that it shouldn't cause any issues, and that if anything, we'll see horsepower go up, and then the torque will stay the same or lower. So, and we'll continue to see that with bigger and bigger turbos. Now, at some point, I think the motor will need rods at some point, but we're not really seeing that yet. And these motors are crazy strong, stock factory motors. So I think we'll be okay. But at the same time, I don't necessarily think we'll be making 1,200 horsepower on stock rods either.
Yeah, right. Yeah, there is a
there's a couple different.
There's a limit, and that torque number will go higher and higher. Eventually when you get to a big enough turbo. So.
Yes, it will make it higher, but it'll just be making so much more. it will exceed. So
And-
when we're talking about these small little differences, it should make a big difference.
Right. And then you just start revving higher and higher to use those turbos. So things have to start getting built.
Yeah, and these days with the variable cams and all that, you can really still make a lot of torque too. In the old days of just fixed engine cam timing, you could make a lot of power down low and high. Now you can kind of do both, so it's pretty cool. Let's see. Any concerns about Bosch ECUs being more locked down encryption-wise down the road?
Yep, always.
I mean, there are concerns about it, but everything's relative. So, as the encryption and the lockdown factor increases, so does the rest of the world's ability to deal with it. And so we're not in necessarily a worse position now than we were 10 years ago or 15 years ago. It would be kind of like saying, are you concerned about having enough internet bandwidth to use the internet in the future? And it's like, well, files are getting bigger, yes, but so is bandwidth is increasing as well. So, the encryption has to increase because the ability to go around the encryption is increasing. So it's all proportionate relative. The concern really isn't any bigger now than it was in the 90s, back when people were trying to crack into ME3 ECU.
Like every generation that's come out, it's been uncrackable, and it gets cracked.
Yeah.
We move on. Yes, it's always something that's on our radar. We're trying to keep up with it and pay attention to what's coming, but we can't see in the future and know where it's going yet. So
there's never been a time where we couldn't. There's been some delays. B9
was a huge
it's like 3 years of waiting.
Mark 8 is still in process. So.
Mark 8's in process, but it sounds like it's going to be really quick, like much quicker, like a year.
Yeah.
So, and then, not to get into it too much, but ultimately, the encryption is only as good as the ability to hide the keys to the encryption. And so if
that is a part of it.
If the keys leak out, and I'm saying key generically, but if
not necessarily actual.
There's not an
keys
actual key,
but just like the information or enough.
The vulnerabilities and how the encryption works. Once people on the outside understand how the encryption works, then they can work around it. So it really good encryption really comes down to data security and security of the IP that surrounds the encryption technology. So maybe someday there'll be like AI encryption that it will learn as it's trying to be penetrated. It will continue to change and learn, and it'll be much more of a moving target. And I think if we get to that point, then there will be other AI tools to offset that, and then the end of the world will be like, a week later. So, expected quarter mile time on TTE720.
Faster than the stock one?
Definitely faster, maybe up to a half a second.
It's until we're a good chunk further along in development testing. We don't like to speculate because a lot of this stuff too is we could potentially run a record-setting whatever time, but it may not be a file that we're going to be heavy releasing. So until we've got basically a production file ready, that's when we're going to start doing our quarter mile testing. Because we're not tuning for the quarter mile. We're not gonna tune everything.
The quarter mile is the result of
that's just it's a number, but we're not calibrating to be the fastest in only the quarter mile.
Yeah. Do you have plans to release your own high pressure fuel pump for the 3.0 T? I'm assuming that's B9 generation. Yes, we are releasing a replacement piston, not a full pump option. I think everything on the market right now are full pump options.
You can
you
get pistons, yes.
This is for B8, but continue answering that.
Okay, well, we have a B8 piston
have a
upgrade
piston
on the market. We have for like 8 months now. So you can just buy it. Super easy to swap in.
Yeah, the install is actually pretty simple.
Yeah.
It's just a couple of things you got to take care of when you're doing it to make sure you're not scraping any seals up. But other than that, it's. I mean, if you've done it before, or it's like maybe a 10-minute job. It's super easy to get those pumps on and off. And
we offer a really nice tool now for it. So yeah, have at it. You're ready to go.
10 minutes might be a little quick. Say 30 minutes.
Oh, we said 10.
No, I just did. I was like, well, if you got access to it, but
Yeah, give yourself
it depends. Like start to finish, probably half hour.
If you were allowed to drive one vehicle for the rest of your life, what would it be? These are those types of questions. I mean, I have 4 kids, and I will have to drive them around for at least another 5 to 10 years.
That's the thing is life's always changing, right? The requirements are always changing.
I can drive any car I want, and I'm driving a Q7 right now because that's what I need to be able to haul kids around and stuff. But like, I think, let's just say for the sake of enjoyment, let's not worry about that stuff. Do you have any?
Like if I just were able to
don't worry about the utility of your life. Worry about like what would you drive around because it's a great car to drive, and it's exactly what you want to drive, not the rest of it.
I mean, is it the only car I'm allowed to have?
Yes.
Then it would have to be something
utilitarian. If there's one car.
If there's one car.
With no concerns of utility.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like I use my Touareg to haul my travel trailer around, and that's a pretty big thing, we do, whether it's with kids or not.
That's what I'm saying. Take that out. Take that out?
Yeah. That's a huge lifestyle thing.
I think it's interesting to talk about like what would be the ultimate car to drive on the street. Like what's the ultimate street car for the best driving experience? Like let's say you have a team of people that can like drive your RV around and deliver your kids.
They chauffeur it for
yeah.
I don't know. I mean, there's not one I can think of that does everything perfectly.
I think generally I would say, like an S4, an Audi S4 of some kind, or, now there's the new e-tron GT.
I was thinking like an e-tron GT would probably
that would be, if I didn't have to worry about kids and stuff, that's what I would be driving right now. Because I really want to experience that electrified driving, style, and I want to support, Audi's efforts, and that is the future.
Yep,
so,
that would probably be. I'd be in a similar vein.
Yeah, and then it's very upgradable in the future, and there's a lot you can do with them, and they look sexy as hell.
Yes,
but I would never want to drive one car for the rest.
Variety's the spice of life.
It is. How come my pops are loud in park but quiet when driving? 2022 S5.
I mean, there's some different. So some of that, what you're likely seeing is different tables in the ECU that are. It's called your minimum ignition tables, and then some other sound tuning tables that might be coming into play while you're driving. They shouldn't be that much different. Honestly, it might be more just road noise and that taking effect. I honestly don't know. We would have to, I would have to look into that more in detail to see if and what is even different between the two. So yeah, can't answer that one right off the top of my head.
Yeah. For B9 TTE710, I know E60 makes more power, but what hardware changes do you think will be needed for E85 to be superior to the E60 file? More fuel.
It's just fuel delivery. Injectors and
we will get there. We will.
Yeah, more stuff will be happening for these motors.
We will make it so that you can run full E85 and make the full power. It just will require more fuel system capacity. And like Nate said, that's low pressure fuel pump, high pressure pump, injectors, things like that. Because the fuel system is limited, granted at a very high level. It's not a limited fuel system, but everything has its limits. And so because we've reached that, by bringing the E-content down to 60, we reduce the fuel system capacity while still allowing the motor to take a lot of timing. And that's why it makes more power. This is an interesting question. Which Audi chassis would you recommend to build a purpose-built time attack car on that has the potential to be competitive? I mean, I'll just give a caveat of being time attack competitive in anything like an Audi or BMW or Mercedes or is going to be really tough.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say like R8, maybe. The
R8 could be
probably an R8 or some fully prepped wide body TT something or other.
I mean, the Audi R8 is the most the fastest, best race car, sports car Audi has ever made. It's built on a sports car platform.
Yeah.
So it's optimized for handling and for the suspension and everything. You can drive that thing on track and go very, very fast in it. Which, it's funny, a lot of people, we have a V8 R8, and a lot of people make a big deal about the power, that it's only 400 horsepower or whatever. And that car is not about power.
No.
That car is about handling and precise driving. And it does it better than any other Audi.
It takes a lot to get around that car if it's being driven by someone that's comfortable in it.
Yeah, even with a lot more power.
Yeah.
The car can just go through corners that much
It's got a
faster.
lot of tire. It's got it's got great suspension.
That's going to be a pretty expensive time attack car.
Yeah.
But, if you want to be competitive.
Being competitive in time attack is
Yeah.
expensive. Yeah.
The prices have gone up on those things quite a bit. Another car that I really like, I don't know how competitive it would be, but a B9 A4, I would love to build a time attack car out of one of those. So it has a really nice platform, really good, independent multi-leak suspension all around. The motor is shifted back for an Audi. And I think if you could get, 600 reliable horsepower out of a 4-cylinder, the big turbo setup, really lighten it up, I think that could, and then do a wide body on it, get a lot of rubber underneath it. The factory DSG is really nice in that car. It's one of the newer, 7-speed DSGs. So I think that would be a really fun track car to build. I think it'd be really fun. Just with our parts on that car, it's a really fun track car. Really fun track day.
Yeah, you're going to be limited. I mean, at a time attack level, you're going to be a little limited, I think, with tuning options and that kind of thing.
Yeah, and there's classes,
So
you gotta figure out what class
you're
you'll
going
race.
to land. If you're going for like the unlimited class,
Unlimited is going to be
You're
tough
right.
to compete in an Audi, but you might do okay in a class where there's some power limits and stuff.
yep. Yeah,
Yes.
they'll have mod.
The Up GTI, that would be fun. That would be more of a fun autocross car, like a hill climb car, because those things I think would do really well with tighter turns. Let's see. I've seen issues regarding rocker arms on the EA 839. Should I be concerned? I'll just say we haven't really seen or dealt with that.
I think there are some. There obviously have been some issues, but I think it's still very small
pretty
subset
limited,
of the motors that are out there. So it's one of those things. It's like I don't know how you. It's kind of luck of the draw if you've got a bad set, or, a faulty set from the factory,
Yeah, anecdotally, we've seen maybe 10 or 15 cases online.
like worldwide kind of.
Yeah, like on Audi Zine or whatever. And there's a thought that it's the early motors that have this issue. Ours is one of the first. We bought the B9 S4 right when it came out. We've had no issues, and our car's seen a lot of use. So just make sure you're maintaining your car well, doing the oil and stuff. But no, there's no
much you
need
can
to
do
be
to-
excessively concerned.
Yeah, there's not a lot you can do to kind of
Yeah.
prevent it either. It's either gonna kind of happen or not.
Have you guys thought about delving into the S58 X3M M3 M4 platform? Yeah, we will be moving in that direction in the next year or so. Tuning, we're doing hardware support for BMW right now. We're not doing a lot of tuning right now, but it's definitely a direction we'd like to move in. But we just, again, always have to balance our Audi priorities, Audi Volkswagen priorities on the tuning side. Any developments on flash at home ability for Simos 16 CREC?
CREC is flash at homeable. We are going through and updating some files now. But I was just talking with the guys this week. We'll probably get our current file set up on the server so we can offer that to you, and we'll be offering more updates in the near future for that. So yes, those can be flashed at home now.
Yeah, go for it. Any plans on a garage wall-sized 034 Motorsport banner? Yes, we are actually making those right now. I think they'll be for sale probably in the next few
Bit
weeks.
off, yeah.
Yeah. They'll be, I don't know, what are they, 3x5?
It's 1.7 by 3.
Okay.
Really interesting.
So 3 feet wide, and it'll have our logo and stuff on it. And they're not cheap to make. They're like $25 each, so we'll be selling them for around $30 or whatever. But we'll have them in stock and ready to ship soon. What do you guys recommend for wheel hop on the front end? What do you recommend for wheel hop and the front end of the car lifting when launching for a 2018 RS3? Just go take a look at our catalog. Our motorsport mounts, engine and transmission mounts will help. Our dog bone inserts and dog bone pendulum arm. We sell a whole kit.
That hop is introduced. Well, a lot of it is you've got a driveline that's kind of loading up and springing back and forth.
Yeah.
So you get this really like abrupt. It feels like hopping. You're not necessarily hopping up and down, but you're breaking traction and then grabbing again, breaking traction and grabbing again. So you've got this kind of like just pinball drivetrain going on in there.
Yeah.
So yeah, the inserts and removing a lot of that back and forth elasticity helps a bunch.
Yeah. And then just getting your launch RPM right is a big factor.
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer globally because that's what tires, what's your prep, what do you
optimizing your tires.
Tire pressures and setup and conditions will dramatically affect all that.
Mm-hmm. Don't know if this question has been asked. How soon until you can start working on the B9 S4 high pressure fuel pump? Just got an email from Holly stating there isn't a current ETA due to supply chain issues. Ordered it in April. Damn.
Wow.
That's not good. Ours, we could have ours out by the next few months.
Yep.
We're currently testing a first article production sample. And so once we test and approve that, we will go to full production and get those made.
Yep. Yeah, we'll usually do first production or first article. The sample piece will be first article. We'll get the first batch of production units in, test those, and while they're actually manufacturing the others as well.
Yeah. So the high pressure fuel pump issue is a big deal for us because the tunes.
Well, it's a huge unlock for power.
Yeah, the tunes benefit or require it. So we had some delays that delayed things. We really wanted to have the pump ready when we really start tuning. That didn't happen. So, but it's a huge, high priority for us. So they'll be here soon. Do the Brisk spark plugs make a major difference over OEM plugs on a Stage 3 710 810? No. Spark plugs
make a big difference.
Spark plugs don't make a big difference unless you have a spark plug problem. You just need a spark plug to fire and ionize and propagate combustion, start the combustion process. But if your factory plugs are working, are already working, then you're not going to get a hotter spark or something like that. The Brisk plugs are a good option if you need to replace your plugs or you want to replace them. We offer lower heat range, which gives you some additional margin around pre-detonation issues that you could get with a hotter stock plug. And then there's the other benefit of that Brisk plugs have a silver electrode which can melt at a lower temperature than say something much steel or something like that. Which kind of gives you a type of fuse built into the spark plug. Again, it's not if you're gonna blow up, if your motor's gonna blow up because you have bad tuning, then the Brisk probably is gonna save it. But it's just a nice little thing. Yeah, I would say. I mean, if you want to, they said they were going to cancel their order, so that's fine. We'll definitely have one in the next few months. Ours will just be a piston upgrade, so it'll be more affordable than the full pump options out there. There's really no need to sell a full pump, assembled pump. I don't know, 5 million high pressure fuel pump piston upgrades have probably been sold in the last 5 years for Volkswagen Audi high pressure fuel pump. So it's a proven modification. Hey 034, is the Pure 750 turbo can be used with your current B9 stage 3 software? Well, we do not recommend anything like that. We haven't tested it. I've been hearing reports that people have been running various turbos with our 710 software. And, if someone has done that and you trust them and you're willing to kind of put things on the line based on their experience, by all means, knock yourself out. We have to be able to test this stuff and validate it.
We're not going to
make sure that it's 100%. Yeah. So when we offer a Pure 750 tune, it will be called that. We will never ask you to run, a different kind of turbo with it. If our tune is called ABC, then you're going to need an ABC turbo. That's just how it works. I don't believe that we will have a generic big turbo tune ever for these cars. Will the oil catch can help prevent oil consumption on a B8A4? Yes. The problem with these motors is that oil comes out of the crankcase, goes into the intake system, and then goes back into the motor. And so you actually can literally consume oil.
Yeah, if you don't have like a perfect PCV system, you're going to get some oil vapor. And none of those systems are 100% perfect. So,
the oil
vapors.
The oil, when it goes out of the crankcase, it has to go somewhere. And your motor and intake are a closed system. Mm-hmm. So the oil doesn't just like spray out onto the ground. It stays inside the motor and inside the intake system. And so it either goes through the motor and is consumed, or it would just fill up your intake tract with oil eventually. So yeah, it does help with oil consumption. Now, if you have an oil consumption problem on your car, it's probably only partially due to what's happening with the PCV system. And that generation of motors have, somewhat of an oil consumption issue.
Yeah, whether it's piston ring,
the piston ring from the factory. And so you just have to decide, the R8 consumes oil. I had a 996 turbo that consumed, a quart or two a month. And it's within factory specification. So I think Audi actually specifies a pretty high.
2 quarts every change, I believe.
2 quarts every 5,000 or 10,000 intervals. Yeah.
2 quarts per 10,000 miles. Yeah. But if it isn't smoking real bad out of the tailpipe or anything like that, it's up to you. But unfortunately, fixing an oil consumption problem is
if it's beyond the normal use, that's usually pretty low.
So I would say theoretically a catch can help. Now, practically speaking, I don't think there's a lot of motors out there that have oil consumption problems simply because of a catch can. So yeah, but it will help some consumption. But the amount of oil that a motor would consume, like on the street, from that is pretty low. On track, it's a whole other story. You could pump out all the oil in the motor in a couple laps on track if you have a really bad setup. My TTRS wears your entire catalog. All the parts are flawless. They install as OEM and work seamlessly. That's very good to hear. Thank you. That's exactly our intention. And hearing that that's your opinion and experience is very validating. So thank you. What's after stage 285? Would love to have 034 tunes for TTE700 and one for pistons rods. Give us, I don't know where you're located, but it would be good to talk to our service department, ZTF Automotive. They can definitely help. We can do built motors. We can do rods. And then we do have a TTE700 setup that we're working on finalizing. So through our service department, that would also be pretty that could get done pretty quickly. So if you're not too far from us, that could be a great option. But I would say hit them up in either case. they can help you with advice. We can get you additional parts. But I will say, if from my personal experience, a stage 2 DAZA is pretty tough to beat. It's really, really fast. It's a lot of power.
Yeah, it's big diminishing returns from there until you start throwing a bunch of money in parts of it.
So the 700 will make more power. You're gonna experience some more lag. We have our in-house RS3 has a TTE720 on. It's fast. There's no question about it. But the stage 2 stock, is really, really good. It's a lot of power. It's a fast car. So something to consider. Any ETAs around ALC or flex fuel for B9 3.0T? It will be available on all stages, when we offer it typically. But I don't know. It's something that's being worked on.
Yep.
No exact ETA right now. Are you guys planning to do anything else for the B9 S5? Yeah, there's going to be a lot more coming for that. That's a current platform that we're actively supporting, so we're releasing new products for that several times a year, at least. And then 2021 3.0 TQ7, anything in the works for that? We do have a line of Q7 parts that we're working on. I don't know which ones will fit that newer facelift car, but things like sway bars and lowering springs are coming. And then the tuning, I think the tuning is a whole nother thing as well. Why does everyone say 034 and not 034? And it's an interesting thing. Like, the area code in San Jose is 408. I actually still say 408. So I think there's a kind of a casual lexicon or dialect in America, at least, that people just say O for 0. For us, you can say it however you want, as long as you buy and support our products.
Right.
We've sort of made a thing around it, just to be fun. I'd like to think we're not snobbish about it. That's never been the intention, but maybe that it comes across that way. For me, that came out of back in the days when I worked with a lot of Audi factory part numbers and ETCA. I would say 034, and the parts guys would call them zeros because that is what it is. It's not an O. So if you type, if you go to your keyboard and you type capital O34, that's not the name for it. So, but like I said, you can say it however you want. We just try to have fun with it, but it is a 0. Hopefully that answers your question. It's not that big of a deal, but we're an engineering company, and so it's like it's a 0. It's a number. It's a discrete. It's something that we should all be able to agree on. It's a 0. Hello from Colorado. Waiting for my flashing cable today to load my stage 1 ECU TCU from you guys. Awesome. Hopefully you have a tracking number for that. And great luck flashing your car. I think you're gonna love it. You're gonna be happy. But please let us know either way. I think it will be. What weight reduction did you do in your B9 S4 in your stage 3 runs?
We listed all that.
It should all be there.
It's the same as we listed. It's the exact same as we ran on our stage 2 E85 stuff. It's
passenger seat out.
Yeah, passenger seat out, racing seat.
A CREC racing seat in the driver's seat.
Trunk stuff was
Trunk stuff was
spares
out.
and jack and all that stuff.
Aside from the driver's seat, it's anything that anyone could do in an hour or less at the track or whatever. So yeah, but I believe we published that.
It should be listed.
I think just links to them, Sean. I know. 0 needs a hash in it.
Like the
Oh.
across, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah, what is the technical use?
I don't have a hash on the 0 on my keyboard, so tell you know that's just a.
I use hashes when I'm writing. So if I want to make sure that I'll do a hash because when you're handwriting, the difference between is an O and a 0 can be subtle, especially when you have terrible legibility like I do in my writing. So, but yeah, no, when you're typing, you almost never see it.
Yeah, you'll see it in it depends on the font you're using, but like in all of the fixed type stuff that I usually work in, and yeah, you'll get a hash across it, but it's not a globally accepted or required.
No. Will you guys make a flame tune for the Audi S4 B9? I'm stage 2, but I'm ordering all the parts for stage 3 Audi S4 B9.
We will make a tune that makes it as fast as possible. Flames are a side effect of some things, so maybe. Depends on where we go with this and what we find works best.
Generally, if you want flames, you have to remove the catalytic converter.
Well, yeah.
That's a flame arrestor. So, how many pounds of meat did you cook this weekend? So, about 80 to 90 pounds of tri-tip. And about 300 chicken legs, although I bought 350, so there's 50 chicken legs in the break room refrigerator right now if anybody wants some chicken legs. And that's a good amount. I think one year I did over 100. I think that was in 2019. That was.
Well, you also did some ribs. You did some other extra stuff too.
Oh,
it was probably another 15 pounds of that stuff.
Yeah. I did some just stuff on the side, because I had saw these grills out, so I threw some spare ribs and Kansas City style spare ribs and a Weber, and just went low and slow on those for like 5-6 hours. And did you get one of the ribs? They were good.
It fell right off the bone. I'd scoop it up off the plate. But
I just when you go low and slow like that. It's getting direct heat, but it's low heat, and it just about 4 hours in, the meat's kind of like cooked, but kind of tough, and then you just let it go another hour or two, and then just basting, and then like a barbecue rub, just doing that and basting and rubbing. Turned out really good. Is there a discount from a different tuner to 034? Yes.
Switching from it.
Switching discounts. Shoot an email to contact at 034motorsport.com. We do have a switching discount program. Any plans to support ORT high pressure fuel pump and pure 750 files? We're not sure.
I'm going to probably say it's not likely, just because we already support the other pump, and it's a larger pump. It's going to get you more.
I think the ORT pump's a good choice for stage 1, stage 2 type, 1+ type stuff. But I think that the consensus is that it's not big enough for bigger turbines.
I don't even think we can run it on our 1+ stuff.
Really?
Yeah.
So what's the point? Okay.
I mean, that's the thing, is there's larger options that are available.
Yeah.
It's kind of
If you had unlimited
superseded.
We got a minute or two. If you had unlimited resources for R&D, what products would you like to engineer?
Literally all of them. You would have every option you could want for all of the software stuff. You'd be able to flash from your phone, your watch, your Apple everything, your Microsoft everything. You'd have all the hardware stuff. Every iteration of every option you could think of.
Yeah, and you basically take all the things that all the companies are doing on the market, and if you could bring that all together under one product, it would be amazing. But there's no such thing as unlimited resources, unfortunately. So, but yeah, I think that, and I don't know. I mean, I feel like we're doing the projects that we've always dreamt of and we've always wanted to now. The challenge is, will anybody want it? Would anyone pay for it? So I guess if you have unlimited R&D resources, maybe you have unlimited ability to not make money.
To just write out whatever products you want. Yeah.
So you'd be kind of like who's the Iron Man?
Tony Stark.
Like Tony Stark, just doing whatever you want and not worrying about selling it because And honestly, if I was a billionaire, that's what I would just open up a lab, an engineering lab, and just do cool stuff and not worry about ever selling it. So, all right, are we out of time?
I think we're out of time. Yep.
All right, thanks everyone for joining us. Appreciate it as always, and I think we'll be back next Monday as well.
Yep.
So,
As far as I know.
all right, cheers.
See you guys.